That's the biggest thing. I remember when early on in my ministry, I had a good friend. I still have a good friend and mentor named Mike. And Mike has this. He was the first person I ever saw this with. When he let me say it this right. When he enters a room, do you guys know people like this? When they enter a room, like the room changes. You guys know people like that? Like when they enter the room, you could feel, it's weird. Like you can feel the presence of some people just fill a room. You guys with me? And I noticed that with my friend Mike, and I just had so many insecurities, and I would lack so much confidence early on in my ministry. I still have so many insecurities. I just also have confidence now. They're still there. Now I just also have confidence. But I could see this difference, and I always felt so strong when I was with him in those early days. Whenever I entered a room with him, whether it was a board meeting or a ministry meeting or a public event, wherever we would go, whenever he entered the room, he would fill the room. And what he would often do is he would use his presence to kind of set up the tea for me. So I noticed the difference. Like when he would introduce me to do something ministry-wise, boom! Man, I was like empowered and confident, and people listened. And in those early days when he wasn't there, I was like, hello and good day. Inside, I'm like, man, I'm bursting at the seams, I'm tearing it up. But then when I would go back and watch like film and see what it looked like, I'd be like, yes, please trust Jesus today. And like I had no confidence. And honestly, people listen less. And my point is that when you are in the presence of the right people, the whole situation changes. It doesn't matter where you are. When you are in the presence of God, or more importantly, when God is in the presence of you in the storm, it changes everything. It changes your posture. It changes your mind. It changes your heart. It changes your outlook. And it changes the situation. Well, guess what? Restore Church. God is with you in the storm right now. He's with you in the storm right now. He will never leave you nor forsake you. In fact, a different storm in the New Testament with Jesus and his disciples. It's almost a funny story. They're in this incredible storm. They're in a boat, and Jesus is sleeping inside the boat. All right, and there's the kind of way he could kind of be like almost like under the boat sleeping, and there's a storm, and it's catastrophic as well. And his disciples were also seasoned fishermen. They knew how to navigate the sea. And their storm comes, and the storm like this one is going to kill them. And they did what often we do when we're in this storm. They're like, Jesus, this isn't fair. Jesus, why are we in this storm? Jesus, why don't you care? Jesus, what's going on? Jesus, why won't you help us? And then guess what happens? Jesus wakes up. He comes up to the top, and he talks, and you know what he says? Peace, be still. And when Jesus said, peace be still, the disciples experienced peace. Why? Because peace is not found in the absence of a storm. Peace is found in the presence of Jesus. Let me say that one more time. Peace is not found in the absence of a storm. Peace is found in the presence of Jesus. Let me say this way. Real peace is not in a trouble-free life. Do you understand that? And some of us, our greatest ambition is to have a life where all of our troubles are removed, and that will not give you peace. Do you know how I know this? I know a lot of people who have a nearly perfect life and are miserable. Do you know that? I know a lot of successful people who have very little they can't provide for themselves and very few problems in their life. And guess what? Some of them are miserable. You know why? If they don't have Jesus, I see an existential misery in many of those people. Guess what? Peace is not in a trouble-free life. Peace is in the presence of Jesus. And Jesus never promised, this is bad theology to think this, Jesus never promised a trouble-free life. If you think that, that's bad theology. Jesus did the opposite. He promised it would be difficult. He promised, he said so in John 16:33. He said what? In this world you will have trouble. He did not say, in this world, I will give you a perfect life if you follow me. He said, following me leads to a life of trouble. But then he said this, but take heart, why? For I have overcome the world. Real peace is not in the absence of trouble, it's in the presence of Jesus. It matters who's with you in the storm, and let me tell you, Restore Church, God is with us. Verse 23, the angel of the Lord of God, last night an angel of the God whom I serve and to whom I belong, stood beside me and said, do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand trial before Caesar, and God has graciously given you the lives of all who sail with you. In other words, you cannot go down in this battle because I have more battles for you to fight, says the Lord. Someone needs to hear this today. Like, you can't go down in this battle because God is not done with you, family. He's not finished with you yet. If you're not dead, you're not done, right? God has more people for you to love. He has more opportunities for you to serve. He has more times that he's calling you to be a blessing. You're not going down in this storm. I know it feels like it, but listen, you are not going down in this storm. Some of you need to feel this in your hearts. You are not going down in this storm. Guess what? It might get really bad. The ship might sink and you might get washed up to shore, but you will not drown. You are going to make it through this storm. I love this. There's a purpose in the storm, amen? There's a purpose. The storm didn't surprise God. Do not think for 1 second that the storm you're in surprised God. He's doing something. He's speaking to you. He's strengthening you. He's teaching you something. He's deepening your roots. He's going to use what you learn in this storm to help someone else in their storm. And I hope you can hear that, right? There's going to be a storm. Listen to it this way. There's going to be a storm that you survive that will become a story of God's provision to someone else. Right? I'm so big on storytelling. I think one of the best things any of you could do, if you learn anything today, is learn how to journal the stories of your misery and how God overcomes. And your current storm will become a story that the next time you see someone else going through that, you can, hey, guess what? I got a story for you. And by the way, this happens to me all the time. This is a playful I told you so. I told you I'd never tell you I told you so. This is a playful one, okay? It's not rubbing anybody's nose in it. But this will happen to me all the time. I've been doing for ministry for about 20 years now. And what happens to me all the time is I talk to people in the middle of their storm, and teasing but truthful. A lot of times, some of you wait to reach out until you are at rock bottom instead of reaching out on your way down. And so now there's more work to do because we got farther to get up, right? I can tell you this in so many situations. I'll be like, hey, listen, I've seen this happen. This isn't my first rodeo. I know it's your first. I know this is the first time you've been through this, but I've been through this 17,000 times with other people. And it actually, most of your problems match patterns. There's like a pattern to your problem. You know that? Like financial problem has a pattern, relational problem has a pattern. There's predictable patterns of our problems. And I'll be like, hey, listen, I've seen this before. And at this point, you're going to struggle to believe what I'm telling you. But let me tell you anyways. Right now, God has you in the middle of the painful part. And here's what happens next if you endure faithfully. Okay? And you don't even believe me now. I don't know if you even can believe me now, but this is what this leads to. And it is good. Trust me. Endure in faith. And then whether it's months or weeks or years later, I'm never going to say I told you so unless it's in a happy, celebratory way. Hey, listen, I told you. I told you. You endure this storm, and this is where this storm leads in life. Man, I've seen it so many times. I hope you can feel it. Some of you have lived through this with me. Some of you, we've been through this, and it's like, hey, listen. And on the other side, it is exactly as told. Why? Because I'm a prophet? No. Because it's what Jesus promised. Jesus said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. He said, I overcame the world, and he proves it every single time. So do not let your past or present storms rob you of the testimony to those around you. Your current storm is a future story of God's provision. He's doing something. So verse 25, keep up your courage, men. Keep up your faith, ladies. Like, keep your courage, keep your courage. Why? Why does it say to keep courage? Verse 25, why? For I have faith in God. I have faith in God. Say it together if you believe it. Why? Because I have faith in God. That is the only reason to have hope and courage in these things, because I have faith in God. My faith isn't in the boat. My faith is in the one who made the wood that the boat could be made from, right? My faith is not in the storm going away. My faith is in the one who controls the wind and the waves. My faith is in the one who can say, peace, be still, and the storm will obey if it is his will, right? Here's the bottom line. You can't control when a storm blows up. You can't control how severe the storm is. You can't control how long it lasts. You can't control what people say about you. You can't control what people do to you. But you can control what you believe, and you can control what you put your faith in. And I hope today is convincing you to put your faith in Jesus and not in the storm.